Testing the Creative Talk podcast, testing the audio for Creative Talk podcast.
Okay.
Kia ora and welcome to Creative Talk Podcast. My name is Kabraska King.
And I'm Amber King.
And welcome to the world of where we blend commerce and consciousness. It's another week and another exciting interview with some incredible people that are going to be joining us all the way from the UK today.
Yes, they've gotten up early just for us. We're very grateful.
They have.
We are very excited to bring them through. But first, let's talk about what we learned last week on the podcast with Charles.
Well, absolutely. Last week we had Charles on board, who was an energy healer and has multiple modalities up his sleeve that he's been doing. And he shared with us his wealth and knowledge around all things Palawa, all things Umana, and really delved deep on that whole subject of energy and how that's actually helping him, his clients, and also the big shifts that are happening within the planet itself. So it was a pretty interesting discussion with Charles. It's always good seeing him, though, because he's so full of energy.
He is, and he just has a way of explaining things, making really complicated things quite easy to understand.
He does.
Doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, he's definitely gifted, and what was interesting is to hear him talk about his modality where he couldn't actually talk at all, because he's such a talker and he loves to talk. And he's so good at sharing all his knowledge, and the way that he was saying it's the most difficult modality for him to do, because he couldn't say anything. You can't.
There's no music. There's no talking. There's no you can't have candles. You can't have sound, and it's supposed to be so quiet and relaxing that he just works with the energy, and the person just lies there, and he actually wants them to go to sleep. So I mean, imagine if the only sound is the snoring.
Which would be me. If that was the case, that's me in like 2 seconds, is lie on the bed, close your eyes, and then I'm gone. I'm asleep.
Then he's got to work through the snoring with all the energy. So,
And then you have to wake me up
afterwards.
I won't even know what's going on. But you see, when you do go to sleep, that actually means that your body is going deeper. Your energies are going deeper as well. And he shared a bunch of stories around some clients that he's worked with over the years that have allowed him to help him shift and move all these different areas of their body.
Yes, and he even had talked about one client that said, she was booked in, then she had to cancel and move her appointment to 4 weeks later. And then that morning before she saw Charles, she went to the doctor, and the doctor diagnosed her with breast cancer. And then Charles was like, well, that's why you've come to see me today, because we're going to be working on that. Like, amazing. 4 weeks earlier, she wouldn't have been diagnosed. So they would have obviously concentrated on something else.
Divine timing is what we call that.
Yes.
Divine timing.
Yeah.
Well, look, Amber and I have volunteered ourselves to actually...
To snore.
To go
to snore on Charles's healing table.
I volunteered to snore on Charles's. We're going to put ourselves up to have both a Umana healing and a Palawa session.
Yeah, and we're going to film it, because Charles said he said he looks so crazy with all the things going and pulling and all the energy and stuff, that it would be really cool to film. So we're going to help him with that and do some BTS.
Which one are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I might try Umana. That's the newer one.
Yes, that's a newer one.
Yes, that and the reason we say newer, it's not new just to Charles, but it's new to the world, because since big changes have happened in the world in the last few years, consciousness has shifted, and so these kind of teachings and downloads have come in, which has made the way for this new modality Umana.
I wonder how long it's going to take.
What do you mean?
Like the session, because he never knows how long it's gonna take. I wonder how long it's going to be for you and for my sessions, Because I remember the first time we did a QHHT session with them.
Yours was ages.
That was a long time. It was like 6 hours.
Yeah, I mean, but
Something
there's a lot of talking that has to go into QHHT. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our cat's just joined us. If anyone is a cat lover, you can't see her. She'll never show her face to you, but she is here in spirit. She wants to be part of the podcast.
She does. She always likes to join. That's why we have to leave our door open when we do our podcast, because otherwise you will hear her in the podcast all night long, just trying to get inside.
Meowing. What other cool stuff have we got coming up?
Well, we've got the amazing Phil and Kerry coming up later on this evening, but we also are going to be showcasing at Melbourne's biggest spiritual festival next weekend in the Psychic Reading Room. Yes. Amber and I are both logged in and ready to go. We're going to be doing 4 days this time, don't we?
4 days in a row.
Here's yours.
And I mean, have I got any slots left? Let's have a look. Okay, it's not a competition, but it is a competition.
It's a competition.
So there are slots available to pre-book, right? Which is 2 every day. So Cabrasco and I have been quietly
You've only got one
competing.
left.
I've got one left. How many have you got?
I've got 2. I think I've got 2 left.
I think you've got 1.
I've got 1 left as well.
So we're whoever wants to book in with me.
If you do want to book in, I will give you a free gift of an oracle oracle card deck set if you would like to book in today. I'll give you some free super duper crystals and the reading of your life. It's true.
How about
she does have super duper crystals. That's pretty true. But yes, we're going to be at Mind Body Spirit Festival along with all these amazing psychics in the Psychic Reading Room for all 4 days. So if you miss us on one day, there are usually times available over the next couple of days for both Amber and myself, as well as all of these other amazing people that are going to be there over the weekend. Definitely check it out. It sells out every single year. And it's an amazing time.
Yeah, it's in Melbourne. This is Melbourne King's birthday weekend, so not this weekend, the following.
This actually rounds out for me, because this is your second year doing the spiritual festival, right? This is my first year completing Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane.
Yes.
So the first tour is now. This will be the end of the first tour.
That's it. And then at the end of the year, there's Sydney and Melbourne again.
There is. And then we're straight back into the second cycle. But it's been an amazing ride. Like, it's been, oh man, it's been so full on going to the different spaces in Australia and feeling the energies of different people and reading for those different energies and those different circumstances of people across Australia. I was quite blown away by Brisbane.
Yeah, Brisbane is a good crowd. That was my first time working with them too. That was a really, really cool crowd. I think it's growing there, and it's definitely big here in Melbourne. I think Sydney's got a bit of work to do, though. Yes.
Sydney, just saying, got a little bit of work to do.
I mean, they're very busy.
No,
Sydney siders are busy doing other things.
They are. They're hustle and bustle.
Yeah. I mean, but that's it's each city comes with its different vibes and its different people, and you do have a lot of fun.
You do. I loved it. I thought the Brisbane crowds were amazing, and it was a busy couple of days working there. Sydney was the same. It was busy the whole day, except for the first Friday. That was probably the quietest day.
Yeah.
But every other day was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think Melbourne's just always amazing.
Melbourne's next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
So Psychic Reading Room for Long King's birthday weekend, next weekend, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So we're going to be there for 4 days. If you are looking at checking out anything to do with Mind, Body, Spirit, come down and see us, or even just come and book in and have a look at the festival itself.
Yes. What kind of readings are you going to be doing?
I'm actually going to be doing psychic, tarot, and mediumship reading.
Yeah.
Which should be, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes.
Should be a lot of fun.
Me too.
But yes, let's move along to our wonderful guests who are joining us this evening all the way from the UK. And they've actually just become award-winning with regards to what they've released this year, which is not just their books that they've released, or their courses, or everything else they do with their live demonstrations and work that they do all over the world, but an amazing documentary which they released earlier this year called Evidence of the Afterlife. Now, if you haven't seen this documentary, it's available on Apple TV. It's also available online. We will share those details with you guys after this. But by all means, go check this out. We're going to play the trailer for you if you have not seen this, so that you can actually experience it for yourself. And then we highly recommend you go and watch this after this podcast and go and check them out. We'll be talking to Phil and Kerry very soon, just after this.
We need proof, and we need good proof.
Anyone that has inspired you, touched you in some way that's made you think about life, is able to come through.
As I begin to work with the spirit world, I know I have a gentleman with me, and I know this gentleman feels like Dad.
And it's their evidence, what they give, that will inspire you. As I become aware of the spirit world, I know that I've got a partner here, and I know she comes in very, very strongly.
This reading today, one person came through. It was my partner of 23 years.
As I move my mind to the spirit world, I am aware of a young girl here in the spirit world.
To come up with something from 30 years ago just like blew my mind.
We believe once we hold and be in the essence of that communicator, we let them speak, we let them come forward.
That's amazing. It's epic.
It's an epic introduction.
It
That
is.
trailer is so good.
Welcome, Phil and Kerry. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, all the way from the UK. How are you both?
We are well. We are good.
Good. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes, it's an unearthly hour of the day for us. It's a
Great
pleasure.
to hear.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, look, guys, thank you so much, as Amber said, for joining us so early in the morning. And we know that you've had a hectic week, but we're just so grateful for you guys to be part of the podcast series for us. And obviously, having worked with you and spent some time with you over the years to develop our own practices, it's amazing to have just some time with you that we can share you with the people that watch and follow and support the work that we do over here as well. So thank you guys so much for being here this evening,
You're
this
absolutely
morning.
welcome.
So if anyone's wondering, so who are Phil and Kerry? They are so many things. They are mediums. They are spiritual educators. They are mentors. They're authors. They're award-winning people in many ways. And they're also a couple in business, kind of like us. We've got the couple in business part. We want to catch up to all the other things. But so this documentary movie, Phil and Kerry, Evidence of the Afterlife, what was it like seeing your spiritual journey come onto the big screen, into a film?
A little bit surreal, to be honest. When Robert Lyon, who produced it and directed it and filmed it, when he said that we were going to do the premiere in a cinema, we thought in a theatre, we thought it was just going to be a small premiere, but actually it was in the largest
Large screen.
huge screen. So to see ourselves on there and our story on there, very humbling, very surreal, but the feedback has been incredible. We were very clear about what the film should be sharing with people and the seeds it should be planting in their minds. So we were happy that we're not center focus, that actually the spiritual journey is center focus.
Yeah. But it was a few years where Robert made it over, and it was a case of having a camera in your face 24/7. So some of it was very unnerving, as you do, because you're very aware of this huge camera in your face. But actually, he was so good at his craft. He made everybody who's part of it feel at ease, and they've all commented on it. So after a little while, we got very much used to that camera being there and completely didn't didn't notice it at all. But it's caught some wonderful moments, and you get to see it in the film. But he's already stated that he could probably make 2 or 3 other films from all the footage he's got from around the world where he followed us. He got a really good holiday. We did all the work. He did some amazing work. He really has. He's caught it on film perfectly.
Now, what does it feel like to one, obviously you've seen yourselves on the big screen and you've experienced that with people who follow and support you, but what does it feel like to be an award winner now with that same documentary after all the work and effort that you've put into that?
It's really surprising. The award, the Telly Awards, the judges are from BBC and Netflix and Shutterstock. So, and there were thousands of entries. So to find out that they valued the film as much as we do, it's incredibly humbling. But when we found out that it was a Silver Award-winning film, documentary film, incredible. It's surprising how many people value what your listeners and we value as well, which is that looking at what happens to us, what's consciousness, what's life after death.
It's very surreal. We're still pinching ourselves that they were part of this film. And at the beginning of it, we said no several times to it because we didn't feel comfortable. We'd done other things, and you don't get editing rights. Where Robert promised us editing rights, unless he disagreed completely, then he would keep it in. So we were very uncomfortable because we didn't want to be the spotlight. It had to be the spirit world, and he's done that. He's told such a wonderful story. 3 different stories within it, actually. It's not just about us, it's about mediumship, it's about development, it's about what spiritualism is, but also it's the story of grief that none of us escape. And from the moment the film starts with all the pictures, and if people watch this, as I'm sure they will, you'll see all the different relatives of people that became contacts within the film that weren't all shown, but it shows the volume of work that goes in from the different time periods. So it's been absolutely wonderful to be part of, but very surreal at times, where we just look, is that really us? Because when you talk on an interview, you never know how you come across. So we've got the camera and you just think, oh, this better be good. He's done a really good job with us. He really has.
And like, we were part of that process when you guys came over to Australia, and we sat in your first workshop that we did. That's when there was filming taking place. So it was really good to see that kind of come to life, and we're like, oh yeah, we were there and we saw that, and and even some people from that workshop got to be in the film as well. So it was really interesting to see how everything was put together.
He did do a fantastic job, though, of telling the story of you two on this journey to do the work that you did in a very authentic and just a realistic picture of what you two actually do and how many people that you get to connect with and help with in so many different countries. I just thought watching that film, how inspiring that is to be able to do what you guys do, and then also how beautiful it is that he's been able to capture that and then connect it to people who may not know anything about it, who may be suffering from grief, or just be curious and completely wanting to know more. And I think he did a great job to be able to deliver that to all of those different types of people.
You've also released a book by the same name.
Yes.
And that'll be coming out soon. So what can people find in there that's not in the movie?
There is some understanding behind the mechanics of being a psychic and being a medium. There's so much misunderstanding at times between even what's the difference between being a psychic and being a medium. And we've also put some story behind the documentary film. For instance, there's a story, unfortunately, Phil's dad passed through the making of that film, and my mum passed through the making of the film. So there's some of that journey of what it was like behind the scenes and what it was like to be part of a family that were individually grieving. But we've also got some funny parts in there. People were saying that they wanted to know what it was like to be followed by a camera crew around the world. So that's in there as well. And there's also some information there about what it's like to be a student of mediumship and the journey that we all go on.
And there's the aspect that everybody wants to know, which is about ourselves as well, just a little tiny bit. So how we became mediums, the journey or through families and how it affects everything. So we've tried to make it quite explicit into seeing who we are, but also into the film, as Kerry's mentioned, but also the teachings, because we know we read a lot of books, and especially myself, I read books and think, well, I've got to know the person. What is it they exactly do? So there's that aspect of the teaching side in there as well, where people can learn from it. And we had some wonderful feedback yesterday. One of the first reviews that we've had where people said, we heard your voices all the way through.
Oh,
It is so
wow.
authentic. They've known us for years and they read it and they said, no, that is you two. And they said they were laughing, they were crying. Instead, it was a journey in itself. So we're very proud of it.
It's a long time in the making for anybody who's ever written a book. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It does.
It does. It does.
It does. It does. But it's also a great asset to have along with the other incredible asset of an award-winning documentary. So congratulations, you two, on the incredible work that you have done, the achievements and accolades that you continue to build. For me, it's just testament and confirmation of just how incredible your work and how meaningful your work is for what you've done. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. And Phil, you touched just briefly on your spiritual journey and how you guys explain that within the book. For those people who may not know you guys and what you do, are you able to explain kind of those first steps into the world of spirituality and mediumship and how that unfolded for you both individually?
So it's no surprise, like many people, when we look at mediumship, spirituality, religion, the topics can be a little bit taboo, and especially in my own family, because my family come from a Methodist side, and my father was a Methodist preacher, and many other parts of my family were heavily involved with that religion. So for me to stand up and announce that I had this disability, and I look at the spiritual side of life, it was a big thing. I lost contact with a lot of my family for a period of about 2 years, where we wouldn't speak because, in their view, I work for the devil. So a big cultural shock within the family, and I was the black sheep. But over time, it sounds bad in one way, but in another way, it was really good because I had those few years to really develop. And with the film coming out, parts of the family have watched it and said, oh my God, we never really understood what you did. You're so good at it, which is really nice to hear from family members to finally understand that they have a little bit of support and they're proud of you. But as we journey through life, we have the modern view of what we see and what we can touch and what we can explain is real and the factual. To talk about a side of things that we can't see, we can't hear at times, or not everybody, it's that little bit of a taboo, and it's hard to explain and for people to grasp. And let's be honest, that's just the skeptical person. But my family also are engineers, so they like to know processes. So exactly. So when I talked about it, when I was questioned, I got all these very awkward questions. But over those few years where I was alienated from them, I was able to engage and find that knowledge to explain it in such a way that they could understand it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is where they start to find themselves. They become educated to what spirit is all about the differences, as Kerry mentioned earlier, about mediumship and the psychic faculties, that the major differences and the qualities, because as we grow as a spiritual person, it's nothing airy-fairy, as people would say. It's about living a life with purpose, making the best of the opportunities we have, seeing things in true perspective, and really gaining empathy and compassion for everything that is living in everything that has been. And it's learning those truths of the universe, of the divine. And we are normal people that just take on that role. And from what we've learned, or I'll speak about myself, from what I've learned, I want to share that with people.
It was John Gilbert that walked you into
Yeah,
that,
it was
wasn't
a gentleman called John Gilbert that walked me into it, and he was a very unassuming man, and he was the first person I ever met, which was Horwich National Spiritualist Church in Bolton, Lancashire. And as I walked in, I thought, well, this is a bit strange. What are these people doing? And I remember him sat there and he just turned and looked at me, smiled and looked away. But every time I looked around, he was always looking at me. And he said after, because I said, you always seem to notice me. And he says, well, I noticed the qualities and the power and the energy that you carried. And he said, if you remember that first night, the medium struggled with you. And I laughed and I said, yeah, the medium was meant to go to many, many people, but for 45 minutes, he couldn't get away from me because the spirit world had a point to prove that they wanted me, they wanted my attention. They were telling me, well, who's that medium there? And I'm looking around, I'm the person they're looking at, so I know nothing about this. So it was a phenomenal journey. I'm not saying it was the easiest journey. It's not, because we learned so many lessons along the way. And as we develop spiritually, we should have a big sign on us that says, be aware, spiritually developing, life is changing. And these are the things that we go through, and I'm being humorous about it, but there were some serious lessons of empathy, compassion, understanding, and really getting to grips with what life should be. And that's something that we live by every day now.
I think for me, it was just after the birth of my daughter in 1996 when, like many women, I hit a really low point. And it was in that low point that I began to look at the bigger questions in life, and my awareness and sensitivities began to increase. And I sought out a spiritualist church, of which we're both extremely lucky. There are lots in the UK. I know there aren't that in every country. And I met a gentleman called Jock MacArthur, who I didn't know then, but was going to be a large part of my spiritual journey. And through a number of years in development circles and in practices and practicing private readings, way back at that early stage where you think you know it all, but actually you know very little, that I began doing private readings and began being involved in the spiritualist church, and was indeed involved in running a spiritualist church in Scotland from 2004 until I left Scotland in 2021. And through that, there's so many different parts. Like Phil was saying, there are so many parts to our journey and unfolding that it's not until we sat down and wrote our book that we realize so many peaks and so many troughs. And it's through those parts that we find out whether we actually want to be the medium. Mediumship isn't all lovely and fluffy and spiritual. Sometimes it has some really tough parts that we have to ask really hard questions of ourselves. But that becomes a making of us as the medium.
Yeah. It is so true. It's so true. People think, they see movies and they're like, oh, you get to talk to the angels and all the lovely people up there and in heaven, and
I love the voice.
That's my angelic voice, but you do have to deal with people going through that are suffering, that are left here and going through grief, but also the people that are in the past, that you may be talking to people who've had a traumatic death or, through, uncomfortable circumstances and things like that. So it's not for the faint-hearted.
No. Did you both develop your abilities of mediumship abilities early on in life, or was it something that you worked continuously at over time? And how did that develop for you both?
For myself, it was my mother who visited many mediums, and many mediums came to the house, and unknown to me, she made many friends of mediums. So a lot of the people I met were very much in that mediumistic ability. I was early 20s when I first started to notice something. I noticed things as a child, but I didn't really understand it. And there's some funny stories in the book that you'll be able to read about it. But yeah, it's one of those times that as you develop and you grow, maybe in the later 20s, where it really started to become prominent. And I met a gentleman called Glyn Edwards, and at the time I never knew who he was, but I was introduced to him and I saw him demonstrate that particular night, and I got to see it, and it's the most fortunate thing ever in my life. I got to see mediumship and I was blown away. My jaw was on the floor. And I always remember it because there was a lovely lady sat next to me that I got to know. And she said, "Wasn't that boring?" And I looked at her and I thought, oh my word, were we in the same space here? Because there was full names, addresses. He was walking people
Oh, my
through life and everything and the story. I was just mesmerized. And every now and again, he'd turn around and say, "My dear, you would understand." And the people were saying, yes. It was like, this is incredible. How does he know this information? So I spent a couple of days with Glyn in workshops and developing to really get an understanding, because there's this man that's just a miracle, if you will. Then I was introduced to a wonderful gentleman still today, and I have a lot of respect for him, Mr. Paul Jacobs. Phenomenal teacher. What he doesn't know about mediumship is not worth knowing. And he was the teacher I needed. He was very strong with me, and he had his understandings, and he shared all those things with me, and through the classes that I took with him. And I'm ever so grateful because he gave me that start. So I hope he sees this and hears that, because I'm extremely proud of what he did for me. So yeah, in the early 20s, but it's been something that we never stop learning. We're always learning something new. We're always looking for something new, and it's now become such a passion that I'm trying to find more and more and more all the time. So we never rest on our laurels. We never think we are the finished article. But as Kerry highlighted before, that there are peaks, there are troughs with it as well. And that's what we're out all about, demystifying what mediumship is in that sense of education and showing people what is possible.
I think for me, it was something that I consciously began. Phil had, and he's outlined them in the book, he had very prominent experiences as a child. The words bulletproof duvet spring to mind.
These are the things I forget, and now you reminded me of.
I had some experiences, but not as prominent as Phil's. Mine came in my 20s, and it is hard work to be able to develop a mediumistic ability, and it is an ability, not a gift. And what we have to do is have that balance between practicing, learning the formal training, or the mechanics is how we call it, and doing the personal development side. Because when we are open to the lessons in life, we're open to then be able to use them within our mediumship. So there's all different aspects to it. And we think that once we understand the academic side of mediumship, that we're done. Ding. But it isn't. We're learning all the time, and it's only as we learn ourselves more. So yeah, I found out that the formal training is an important part of it. But even when I was giving private readings and doing demonstrations, or working in the UK, or then working in Europe, or then working around the world, there's still parts of the mediumship that surprise me, because I'm continually developing, and that's a good side of being a developing medium. When people call themselves working mediums, that means that they're working with the public, but it doesn't mean they're the finished article. We strongly urge everybody to continually top up their ability, just as any professional, doctor, nurse, counsellor, coach, needs to top up their understanding and make sure they're relevant.
Yeah, it makes sense because, you
Yeah,
know, it's
totally.
the day you think, yes, I'm an expert, I know everything and I've got it all, the universe is going to show you something else,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, Phil and Kerry, can you tell us, so you've been talking about mediumship. What is the difference for the people out there that don't know? What is the difference between being a psychic and being a medium?
Okay, so I think we'll both probably do this. Mediumship is all about your loved ones. It's telling that story of life, giving you factual, objective, undeniable evidence that your loved one is still with you and communicating. So last night we were doing a big demonstration, and to give you an example of the evidence that came through, you would get the relationship. So I would say, I've got your father. You would get the name, preferably. We would then get certain facts such as hobbies and jobs, careers, memories of where they lived, very personal memories as well, things that are very much undeniable. The phrases, the mannerisms, their personality, their character, who they are, it's all brought together in one big package over several minutes. And within that, there is that message directly from them. And some of the things, the feedback we get is that's exactly how they would say it, or they're the words they would exactly use. So it's an experience where we bring them back to life in the room, where physically they're not there, but actually spiritually they are. And you feel the presence of it. And people that were following the contacts who didn't get the contact, you could see the emotional effects on them, and you could hear people actually feeling the love that is brought forward. So that is mediumship, which is all about the person that has passed over still proving that they're living, proving that they're communicating by evidential fact.
When we talk about psychic, there is that misconception. We strongly urge people to develop the psychic first. The reason being, psychic is to do with the physical person still walking this earth,
Still living.
in this life. And so everything that they've done, everything that they've said and thought and experienced, and everything that they're aspiring to do, their dreams, their wishes, are all within the soul of the person here. So when we are working that way, people come for a psychic reading if they want to know about their work, perhaps a decision they've to make to do with family or relationships, or indeed work or finances. They might want to know about their well-being. And it's easier to have confirmation for the developing medium and the psychic because the person here knows themselves. It's exactly the same mechanism that we use for mediumship, except the person in the spirit world can't tell us that we've got it wrong or tell us that they've got it right. So if we learn how to work in the psychic first, then when we flick the switch and allow the developing medium to then work with the spirit world, they're able to understand what psychic ability they've developed, how a yes feels, how a no feels, how to follow somebody through their life story. And it becomes much easier to be able to do that for somebody we can't see in the spirit world. So they each have their own use. People who are wanting to know about their life decisions or confirmation about their life come for a psychic reading. People that are coming for confirmation about that there's life after death, or they're needing that reassurance that their loved ones haven't left, or they're looking for confirmation about their own curiosity about life beyond, will come for a mediumship reading. So they each have their own parts. Many times a reading will have both aspects in there.
Yeah, and it's a very personal journey. It's something that we can talk about and we can educate people to, but it's a personal journey. It's a personal experience. The evidence that's brought through in contacts is very unique, very personal in the memories that you have. And in even the psychic, it's very personal as well, because it's all about your life. It's all about how you feel. And it's really about both do both things, which is inspire and empower the people in front of us, and it can bring healing, it can bring peace, it can bring real knowledge and insight to them. And if we go back to what Kerry said before about the comment about the duvet being bulletproof, the proof that you get builds your personal belief system. It gives you that understanding of a faith that this really does exist. I mean, as a child, the experiences I had were not just of a spiritual nature, they were very physical as well. That's why the bulletproof was duvet. I used to pull it over my head, but they still used to sit on the bed, still talk to me, still hear the voices, where my family would rush into the room. Who are you talking to? They could hear the voice, but they didn't recognize the voice. So there's many experiences, and things we see today, such as pictures of orbs and things on photographs. I was seeing these things literally with my own eyes in front of me. So it really is down to the individual. What is proof for them? What experiences they have that makes them believe? And this is the unique thing about psychicism and mediumship. It is very personal, and it's the odd little word. It can be the phrase, it can be something very peculiar, out of the ordinary and off the wall, that can be said that just clinches it for somebody.
I found watching both of you do live demonstrations here in Melbourne, when you're actually on stage and connecting to spirit and doing your readings with people in the audience, I saw some profound evidence being given by both of you, that you could just tell the person was having a moment and reliving that experience, that love, that person, or in some cases an animal that they were so cherished and connected to, which actually did in that moment give them healing, help them lift their grief. You could see them feeling it in their eyes. And I truly, not that I wasn't a believer before, but in that room, there was some incredible magic that was taking place between yourselves and them, which is a beautiful experience that I know that they will remember for the rest of their lives. And that evidence is not just something to prove what you do, because it looked to me like they were going through a feeling experience, an emotional experience that actually helped them to release and heal and feel something again, which almost had been missing for some time. And do you find that happens time and time again with the work that you do in different places all over the world?
It does. When we are developing as a medium, we aim for the evidence. We want the facts and the figures and the details. But as a developing medium grows in experience, they realize that it is a spiritual experience. When somebody is joined in that memory, so you were speaking about the Melbourne demonstration, in one of those demonstrations, I know that Phil and I have our own memories of that, because we joined the loved ones in the spirit world in that memory.
Yes.
And mediumship has that healing power, because it brings the recipient of the message and the communicator in the spirit world together in the one memory at the same time. For me, that's what mediumship is. They're looking, the recipient of the message is looking for something that connects them. Now, when the spirit world and them are in that memory at the same time, it's a spiritual experience for both parties. That's healing part. It's not only remembering old memories individually, they're remembering the memory together with their loved ones, which brings that connection, but it also allows them to make new memories with their loved one, which is really what we're all looking to do, isn't it? Is to be reconnected and to be able to create new memories. It doesn't feel like our imagination.
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned there how the recipient, the receiver of those contacts feels, but there's a process before that process happens. As the medium, I think there's a common perception out there that we just receive, we get told things. We don't, we actually live it. And it's got to make common sense, logical, rational sense to ourselves before we actually speak it. So in that moment of impression where we might see a picture or hear a word or a sentence from the spirit world, there is other elements that take place emotionally. We respond. It touches something within us that sends us in a understanding and impression, a direction to gain clarity of what those words mean. And that's where we then can understand it a little bit further, and we can present it in the way that it's meant to be told, that story. So it lands with the recipient in the right way. Now, we see lots of people today presenting and it looks how good they are. Well, for us, that we're not the spotlight's not on myself or Kerry, it's on the communication, it's on the communicator. And that's what we're extremely proud of, because as we start to understand what is taking place, we feel the empathy, we feel that connection, we feel the resonance of what it means to that person. And it educates ourselves to life as well and our own circumstances.
Humanity,
On
doesn't it?
humanity, yeah. Because we've often said you can't do this work and stay the same person, because sometimes in life people pass in the most tragic of circumstances. With traveling as much as we do, we go to parts of the world that some of the passings we can't even conceive here in the UK. But once we start to experience these situations, for example, one contact last night, as children we've all probably played in the leaves and we hide from parents, and then to realize that parent has run over that pile of leaves in the car and that child's passed, to feel the emotion, to feel the guilt. We're not separate from that. We feel it, so we know how it is, how the person feels, and it's really understanding to find the right words to deliver it in the right way. That is the responsibility of the medium. Some things we choose to say, and sometimes will be quite graphic because we think it's needed, and there's other times where just a simple words enough just to highlight we understand, we know.
And it's not to say that reading in a demonstration of mediumship or a private reading is going to make the grief go away, because it isn't. Parents and partners and children and friends that are grieving, we make it very clear a private reading with a medium will not make the grief go. Grief is like similar to losing weight. You can't pop a pill. Well, I suppose losing weight is a slightly different thing now.
There are pills coming out, dear.
You can't pop a pill and lose weight. Grief
Yes.
is the same. It's a process, and it's something that has to be lived. So a reading has its place in grief, but it cannot be used to remove or bypass grief.
You see that in the film as well, because I think that the final scenes, we don't want to give too much away. Excuse me. You can see us talking about our loved ones that are passed. We're not immune from grief. We still feel it. Nobody wants to be in that club of grief because it's an awful feeling and it's an awful period to go through. But one of the things that I take away is I've got the memories, I've got the love of my father. I've still got his backing. I've still got his approval that took many, many years to gain. And the unfortunate thing for me is I wanted him to see the film to say, look, Dad, this is exactly what I do. But unfortunately, he passed before the end of it. But I know in the spirit world, he will know about it and through me feel that pride and love as well. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's amazing. It's just I'm recalling, watching you guys up there, and I just know the connections you do make, as Kabraska said. It's just amazing. And the smallest details is like, I aspire to be that good. So what would you say to the skeptics out there that who don't believe that mediumship is real? I mean, we've seen it. We know, we've worked with you guys as well. We've done your workshop, and we know you're legit. But what do you say to those skeptics?
I would say be as skeptical as you can.
That's in the film.
That's actually in the film. Be as skeptical as you possibly can. Question it beyond life itself and find that truth for yourself. We know, and I'm very polite here, there are mediums out there that people don't believe, and there's mediums out there that people do believe. You will find your own proof. You will find your own medium. It's something that we are advocates for. I come from a Methodist family. I come from an engineering family. every contact I treat the same. They've got to prove to me that they exist. They've got to give me credible evidence that I believe is logical and rational before I speak. I don't say random things. I don't say general things. Or if I do, then I explain them. I give detail and understanding of them. The skeptic's exactly the same. Whatever the proof they're looking for, eventually it will come. And my early journey as being the medium was to disprove that I could do this, disprove that mediums existed. I thought you were picking up on radio waves and everyone had a script and all these mediums knew each other. I traveled the length and breadth of the United Kingdom to have different readings. I'm thinking, how can that medium say that? And this medium said the exact same things. They must have been on a telephone call together. They must know each other. I questioned it. So my advice to skeptics is to question it, is to go there with an open mind, an open heart, but listen to the evidence. Now, we know that mediums, as ourselves, are not immune from having a bad evening or something's not going quite right. We have to be honest about that. Communication happens in 3 ways. The spirit world's got to be present, the medium's got to be on form, and the recipient has got to be open-minded. The medium can interfere in the contact and think, well, that's not good enough. Oh, that's general. Everybody knows that. But actually, we need as a medium to get out of the way, because some of the evidence that's landed over time, for me, has not been great, but it's been world-changing, completely life-changing to the recipient. We can't judge what is good evidence. So what I would say to skeptics is challenge it, be open-minded, but look for that proof and it will come.
I think there is an assumption that people who have developed this ability have always been believers, and that's not correct. Both Phil and I are scientifically minded. I came into this to prove that I couldn't do it. So every piece of information that became evidence, I was challenging until it got to the point where I had to accept there was something more to it. I then studied science, I studied the physics, I looked into it to a point where science can't explain how this happens, or science hadn't nearly 30 years ago described how this happens. I'm pleased to say science is getting closer now to be able to describe how consciousness could manufacture and create the experiences that psychics and mediums experience. But for the skeptic, have your journey, don't rule anything out. And if they go for a reading, don't have specific evidence in mind that you would like to hear, because what you have as the evidence you like to hear might not be the evidence that the person that you're waiting to hear from wants to give you. It's that two-way conversation. Imagine having one opportunity in your whole life to give a message to somebody you love. Are you going to give them what they think they want to hear? Or are you going to give them something that they really need to hear? So that's when Phil says about staying open-minded. That's where we have to stay open-minded for. What would our person say to us if they had a 1 in a million opportunity to speak to us?
I'll share with you a very true story, but a humorous story as well, very quickly. I was asked to take part in a scientific experiment many years ago through a university in the United Kingdom, and Kerry was there and witnessed it, and we agreed to, there were several mediums that agreed to it, and I was the first medium to go first. Crazy, I know. And it was a case of, we had to do a demonstration, but this demonstration was different because they said, would you like to know what you're doing? I said, no, I'll just do it. That's the personality I am. So I was taken into a room. I was then blindfolded. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then I was given ear headphones to put on. And that's all I saw.
Walked out onto the stage.
I was walked out onto the stage with a blindfold, earmuffs on, and they said, now, they pulled one off and said, now you're going to demonstrate. Put it back on. I'm like, but I can't hear anybody. And they said, exactly. The university had set up an experiment with a computer in a different part of the United Kingdom, and they were testing to see what information I would bring out to the number of contacts numbered, how much of it would be correct. So did this demonstration. Half the time I didn't know if I was facing the wall or the audience, which apparently happened. Kerry saved my life because this stage I was on was high and I nearly fell off. The person who was governing it didn't keep an eye on me because I move about a bit. But that night was incredible because the evidence came through. I think it was something like 96% accurate of what this computer had done. So there's a few little
And
bits
in order that the computer said
it would
that
come
you
out,
would
Oh
work.
my God.
which was incredible.
Crazy.
The funny side of it is, after all the other mediums saw what they were doing, they all pulled out. That was the funny thing. I was thinking, well, you're going to base this experiment now just on me, but I know a few volunteered later. And I think still today that test is still going on because they're really researching the intelligence of
So
the
to the
spirit.
skeptic, go and do your research.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
But
amazing.
marvelous.
Wow.
It is. It is.
I'm glad you didn't fall off the stage.
Very close.
Now, can anyone become a medium? Is it something that people can develop over time? Is that possible? Because there's a lot of people that feel they have abilities and they're not sure what to do. There's a lot of people that are afraid of what might happen. But is it something that can be managed and can be supported?
Yes, absolutely, is a simple answer. The more in-depth answer is everybody is psychic. If we go back hundreds of years, maybe slightly more than that, everybody had this innate spiritual intuition. Our peoples going right back knew which plants to eat. They knew which areas to go to find food. They knew which caves or buildings to go into that would be healthy for them. They had a spiritual intuition that they followed. The world has got much quicker, even quicker than the average human could ever have predicted now. And so we've lost the need to intuitively be in touch with the world around about us. It's only when we slow down and we go out into nature that we begin to appreciate what slowing down does for us. But everybody has that gut feeling that says, I want to do this or I want to do that, or maybe I'll go this route today. And on that route, you bump into somebody and you're able to do a task or go out for lunch with them because you followed your intuition. Now, when we look at the intuitive part of us, the psychic part is being able to trust that intuition not only about yourself, but about another person. So psychic is being able to sense what the other person's thinking and feeling and aspiring to. So it stands to reason that if we are sensitive enough, so sensitivity is a double-edged sword. Sensitivity in itself brings an awareness of others, including those that we can't see in the spirit world, but it also brings a sensitivity to being vulnerable and to being open to challenges and maybe being hit harder by the challenges in life, the emotional challenges. And as we develop that sensitivity and intuition, we can find that we begin to perceive a world that we can't see. We know there's colors that we can't see, infrared, ultraviolet. We know there's sounds that we can't see. So why can't there be a world that we can't see that those colors and sound exist in? So as we begin to develop that, we too can perceive the spirit world. Whether everybody's going to be able to travel the world and work for the spirit world, that's up to the individual and the spirit world. Just as if somebody has the ability to play piano, not everybody is going to be a concert pianist that can do it on their own within an orchestra.
You can play the piano.
I can play the piano,
You sing as well.
but I wouldn't want to be solo. So
Yeah, true.
for mediumship, not everybody wants to be able to do that. But I firmly believe that everybody, if they take the training and begin to understand how their own mediumship works, they can communicate with their loved ones in the spirit world.
Yeah. Your question is not a straightforward one. Can anyone develop mediumship? It's not black as white as that. There are many different abilities out there. So we can look at psychics and we can talk about the general. We're reading the energy of the person in front of us.
Yes.
But the psychics that work with police, the psychics that work with psychometry of finding artifacts and all kinds of things. Divination is a form of psychicism. So again, oil, water, all kinds of things. Mediumship is exactly the same. We're not just talking about evidential mediumship where we are very comfortable in and we specialize in, but actually there's inspirational mediums out there that work with music, that work with items that influence the mind. So there's different
And
abilities.
writing and drawing.
Absolutely. All those things that I lost my mind at the moment. But it's a case of there's so many different wonderful abilities out there, and we've not even talked about healing, because that for me they are the greatest mediums, those that just let that power move through them, and it has a wonderful profound effect on the recipient where they feel much better. And over time it's been proven all kinds of things have been cured or helped or relieved from pain and all kinds of things. So we've got to look at what innate ability we have as an individual to develop. Yes, there are some mediums more natural to certain types of mediumship because of either the persuasion of life or their understanding of things. They seem to have a better handle on it. But there's usually a reason for that. If we talk about one of the pioneers or one of the greats of mediumship, Mr. Gordon Higginson, his mediumship was phenomenal. And he used to argue that Estelle Roberts was just as good, if not better, that there was that between them. Where all kinds of different forms of mediumships, aspects of mediumship ability would show. So some people can go out into general public and just wow the general public. So the skeptic, as we mentioned before, and that will get them, wow, that was incredible. Stories of news reporters coming in to debunk them, and they would get the contacts and incredible evidence of full names and addresses, all kinds of things that they go, wow, that you can't research that. That's not public knowledge then. And they're converted to that way of thinking. There is something to this. If we look at modern day spiritualism, there has been so many people that have been brought in to debunk mediumship and spirituality and spiritualism. Archbishops, press reporters, all kinds of intelligent, logical and rational people that have turned around and said, this is real because of the proof that they've had. So we've got to look at the ability. Everyone's entitled to communication. They can come through dreams. They can come through synchronicities, all kinds of things. So we've got to be open-minded and start to question and challenge it to find that truth. So yes, everyone can develop, but it's not all the same.
And speaking of development, spiritual development, you are both spiritual teachers and mentors. So what do you teach, and how can people be part of that?
We have a variety of different classes. We've got the classes for the person who is coming in that, believe it or not, mediumship training can be a little bit jargonistic. We use words that not everybody's had, like blending or overshadow or even mediumship or psychic. So we've got the introduction classes, and for that reason we created pre-recorded courses that people can do at their own speed. We called them self-paced courses that outline all of those words that not everybody understands. So they're a great foundation to help people understand and become familiar with words, so they don't have that awkward moment where they have to put up their hand and say, what do you mean about blending or being in the power? So we provide those. We also have some specialist classes that are pre-recorded for people who want to find out more information about how their clairvoyance works, how their clairaudience works, how to become a healer, how to become an inspirational speaker. So we've got really specialized courses online that they can do at their own pace. And then we've got for us, evening classes. For you guys down under, it would be early morning, and you'll be surprised how many Aussies get up at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning to join us live.
Some stay up through the night to join us. Yeah.
Wow.
Physically. It's incredible.
In-person classes that deal with demonstrating techniques, private reading practice and training, and also we do personal development classes on our Friday evenings, so your Saturday mornings, where we're looking at not only the blocks. Everybody talks about personal development in mediumship, but not very many people actually help the medium unblock, get unstuck. So those classes are specifically to help the medium find their way through. And then we have our 5-hour classes on a Saturday once a month, where we pick a topic and we go really in depth with it. And then, of course, we've got our in-person classes. So we try and make sure that there is something for everybody, as well as the one-to-one mentoring for people who want exactly that. They've got something in mind that they want to have a look at, and they want to speak to us and have some one-to-one teaching on it.
Yeah, so I mean, Kerry's outlined it perfectly there.
Thank you,
You're welcome, dear. Happy wife, happy life.
Great.
One of my favorite sayings. We teach people how to do private readings properly. We teach people how to do demonstrations properly, logical and rational understanding and delivery, presentation, how to speak clearly. I can even put my BBC Radio 4 voice on for you. All those things as well. So exactly. So we do a lot of teaching, but we've always said one thing, and this is to everybody: you can't develop spiritually unless you develop yourself. There's got to be that personal development. That we believe that mediumship or spiritual education happens on 3 fronts. We've got to have the theory, we've got to have the practice, which brings you the experience, and then we must reflect on what we've learned from it, how it's impressed upon us, what we are inspiring, and what seeds have been planted, because the seeds that you create in thought are your future. And that's the same in spiritual development, mediumship development. Consciousness for me is one of the last frontiers that we haven't explored as a human being. And I know it's been looked into. There is some marvelous, intelligent people out there looking into it. The boundary of our mind is the limits of what we can produce. So the more that we can imagine, and if we didn't have imagination, we wouldn't have things like the light bulb, Thomas Edison. We've got then the Charles Alexander Bell, the telephone, many other things, Stevenson, the rocket, the train. If people didn't have imaginations or creations, then we wouldn't have the things today. It's the same in spiritual development. What we can create, what we can perceive, we can actually start to prove as it becomes a reality. So as that famous saying says, as therefore I think, as therefore I am. So it proves consciousness. So once we start to understand, development can come in all shapes and forms, but we have the structures, we have the classes, we have the personal development for all types of mediumship that exists today. But through the personal development, it's the one that creates the seeds to help people thrive and succeed and reach their full potential.
I know from my personal experience of being with you guys in these one-on-one workshops over the weekend when you've come to Melbourne, that you helped my spiritual development within mediumship grow, because I had major blocks within myself, within the learning of the modality and the limitations. And fortunately, Amber and I were able to spend the time to actually work through all these different little pieces of ourselves which now has become a really special thing for us to be able to develop and continue to work within the space. And like, I remember getting my first no within your class and just thinking, I'm history, I'm toast. Like, there's nothing else to do after this. And now a no is nothing anymore. And that block was there before I went along and experienced your guys' workshops. And I can't thank you enough for allowing and sharing your gifts with so many that allow us to push through these blocks that they seem impossible because we don't have an answer. And then suddenly we meet people like yourselves, and suddenly those blocks are just old memories, and we are allowed to move forward in a much more supportive manner. And the classes and the learnings have stayed with me, and they'll continue to stay with me for the rest of my life. And it is
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
You're testament to why we do it. You two are phenomenal couple, phenomenal individuals, not just because you've interviewed us, but because you're good at what you do. And that's my sense of humor. You're testament to how we want people to thrive and succeed, because you're out there. You're talking about doing the mind, body, and spirit fairs now. You've mentioned some of the teaching, the no in particular, which stands for new opportunity.
Yes.
But the no is programmed into us, isn't it? That no, you're wrong. No, don't touch that. And no, we have an adverse reaction. We're programmed, and we need to unprogram those things. But again, we are so proud of people like you and many others that have touched our lives that we learn from as well. So thank you.
Oh,
new opportunity. We're always like, it's now a new thing.
it's not a no.
It's not a no.
It's a new opportunity.
I think I'm also going to get one of those T-shirts made, Phil, which says, "Be aware, I'm spiritually developing." I like that one. Yeah. I think that's going to be a new.
That's a good one.
And on the back of it, you can say, "What would Phil and Kerry say?" That's
yeah, well.
So, as you know, or as people know watching our podcast, we are a couple in business, and you are also a couple in business. So, what is it really like working together as a spiritual couple in business? And how do you navigate all of that?
Yes.
I think that I've got to say something before we go into that, because I know Kerry's going to speak about that. To give people a little bit of an insight, we met, and obviously relationship, and we got married. Then lockdown happened, so we were locked.
Very quickly.
We were locked together. There's no getting out of it. There's no get out of jail card. But no, we through that lockdown, through those years, we just formed a relationship that works. And
does it?
Well, I hope so. And we have a saying before I pass over to Kerry to keep her happy, because happy life for me then. What happens then is we have this thing: if we do what we love, everything else follows. And that's our main theme that we have.
There is, I mean, what Phil has said there is true. We did get married in 2019, and then 2020 lockdown came. The spirit world has had a huge hand in bringing us together. Had we met slightly earlier than we did, our circumstances wouldn't have allowed us to move into business and into a personal relationship. And had we met any later than we did, it would have been the same scenario. Yes, because the opportunity would be in lockdown.
It's a new opportunity.
And then through lockdown, we could have picked fault with everything and looked at the negative, but both of our mindsets were focused on how can we make the best of this. So we were the first mediums to go online and do a 5-day online course, which was 10 days into lockdown. People said it would never take off. We were the first to do an online demonstration of mediumship. People said nobody will ever do online mediumship demonstrations.
That was a year before COVID.
It was. And people then, I mean, we can't imagine life without online now.
Exactly.
And so we were the first to do a divine online service on a Sunday. So there's a lot of firsts that we did that people now it's part of life, and probably people forget who the firsts were. We don't forget that because it sets us on what else can we be the first to do.
True.
So in lockdown, we focused on what direction are we going in? What do we need to do now? We both have quite a deep business acumen that we brought into the business. So what do we need to do now? What do we need to do in the near future? And where do we want to be long term? And we created a mission statement that was derived from what the spirit world shared with us. And so if we focus on what we feel our purpose is, everything else follows. And as Wayne Dyer said, if you do what you love, then, and don't focus on the material aspects as success, money, etc., life is easier. And we found it is. We have the odd disagreement. We definitely have, yeah.
Okay, dear.
We definitely have different opinions on things. If you ask us our opinion, they're not always the same.
True. But I think what we've done as well is we've looked at our own progression and said what was missing within it in the early days, and we've tried to fill those gaps. And we pride ourselves on taking the individual as an individual. We don't teach one glove fits all. We look and try and see the individual and get the perception of life and try to use different language with every different person. So we might say one thing to one person and slightly different to another person, just due to language and understandings. And I think that's been a big success within our business acumen, that we take everything as unique and individual. And we try to break things down in such a way. So, for instance, the mentoring class, we take one topic a month, and over the 4 or 5 weeks, depending on how many weeks there are, we'll break it down into sections. So we really educate people. And sometimes we get that complaint, well, you shouldn't be teaching people too much. You want them to come back. But
we have had that complaint.
We have.
Too in depth.
But actually, people deserve to know the truth. People deserve to know the understanding. And that's at the forefront of our business acumen, to demystify, to educate, to enlighten. Excuse me. My voice is going. But it's a case of we've always had that principle. And to tell you a little funny story, when I was working away in mainland Europe, I came home to the house, and I looked around and said, what on earth have you done to the house? Every single inch of the wall had writing on it, not literally on the page, not like a bad child.
Flip chart. Sticky flip charts.
And Kerry had gone through the ideas, and it all came from a conversation. So
I said, oh, look, it was all around the wall in chronological order.
So imagine upstairs being the same. So it was like...
was in that, and that was back in 2019, 2018.
But also, I think... Exactly. And I think also we've got to have an imagination in this work. And I'm probably, well, I know Kerry does, but predominantly it's myself that comes up with new ideas. And I just go, that's an idea. Over to you, Kerry. That's the relationship.
Phil will say, I've got an idea. And I'll say, I'm not done with your previous 10.
Yes. So I think because we're passionate, we have a belief in what we do. And as we work in that moment, we see opportunities, we see ideas, we see needs.
Opportunities.
And we do. And one of the things that, again, I'm pretty proactive on, if I get an idea, I move with it. Because in the past, when I've not done that, the spirit world don't just give it to us, they give it to others. So we work in that moment. So
you've got to take it.
I mean, some of the things we've been offered, such as, oh, you're going to do a live demonstration. Oh, great. But we're going to stream it across the world. Okay, then we go with it. So we're open-minded.
And that was in 2019.
And we had many people saying, this is impossible. You can't do that, blah, blah, blah. But then they would come round and say, how did you do that? Can you just tell me? And then we shared it. Wow. So that's our thing, is sharing the truths of the spiritual laws and the universe that we believe everyone should understand in some way, shape or form.
It sounds like you two have really created and crafted for yourself this beautiful connection of of blending both the spiritual world and your business acumen world and your relationship all together in one amazing sequence, which is what we continue to try and find is the balance between the business and the spiritual, and we decided to go on this journey of, because we used to keep them separate, and keeping it separate for us was a struggle, and it didn't feel good to us when we were trying to keep it separate. And only now are we fully stepping into it to be like, no more. We don't want to keep them separate. They shouldn't be separate because we're not separate. And what I'm hearing is you two are not separate either, whether it's in the business side, the creative side, or the spiritual side. Are there any pros and cons that you guys have to manage together to navigate the complexity of it? Because it is a very complex process and system. What's the good and the bad that you guys have to manage it sometimes?
If we go right back to the beginning, when we first worked together, there was no business relationship, there was no personal relationship. A separate course organizer brought us in once a year to work together. We became friends. And that is the basis of where we always work from. We became friends, and I respected Phil. I think he respected me. And those two things are the two baselines. If we always respect one another, which means we speak and treat each other with respect, and we remain friends, we might not agree on business projects. We have different opinions about spirituality and beliefs and faiths and religions, as we should. We're not one huge mind that agrees on everything, but that's how we get the ideas, and the way forward is because we bring something different. So the pros are we're good friends, we respect each other, and I enjoy his company.
Do you? Okay, good. No, I think Kerry.
Not done yet.
Okay. Yes.
The cons are it can be a little bit like, what do you guys find to talk about? You know, in a family where all you do is talk about the children?
Yes.
The cons are sometimes all we do is talk about work, and we forget about the personal relationship side. So we have to take time out and go for a walk or do something that doesn't require or doesn't leave space. And we agree on the fact that we won't talk about work. It doesn't always work, but over to you, please.
I've got a bit, for me, it's very simple. Kerry completes me, and also she gives me that aspect that completes me as well. So
that would have been a better answer.
It would actually, yeah. Okay, but no, I think for me, Kerry's helped me find and become who I truly am for many different reasons. One, she's an excellent coach, psychotherapist, and all that. It's good to have that as a wife. No, seriously, she's absolutely an amazing woman that compliments me, because where I have ideas, she can finish things off and put things into action. But also the friendship we have, we like to make each other laugh. We like to enjoy ourselves. We have the qualities and values that we both hold so dear in the work that we do and life as well. I think where business comes into it, I think it's just a further extension of all that. So there is no separation, as you two have already highlighted, between yourselves. There's no separation here. We have our good moments, we have our bad moments, but we always come back together. We both understand each other, and that's it. I know on a personal level, I've learned so much from Kerry, not just the business acumen side of things, but actually values of life and people and humanity. Kerry is somebody that is very selfless. And sometimes I say to her, why are you going that extra bit? Why are you doing generally in life, not in the classes, that's expected, but generally in life for people? And she's opened my eyes to another level of compassion and understanding that really helps me be that better person. Not that I was ever a bad person, but it's a case of she's given me an insight into life that I never really had. Kerry's had family values that my family didn't hold so dear. We're not the closest of families, but yet with Kerry and seeing that side, it's opened my eyes to what truth, family, responsibility, friendships, honesty, all those things are. We come from two different worlds. My world was completely different. I came from a very hard upbringing of hard Lancashire towns where you had to stand up and fight for yourself. And
I didn't.
And Kerry didn't, sort of thing. So we're completely different, but yet we are very much the same with qualities and values. And it's that understanding that we believe should be brought into a professional way. So even though we are spiritual, but yet we are normal people, we react in certain ways. It's all those values that come together to make us who we truly are, and we don't shy away from it. And as somebody said from reading our book just recently, you get to see the two of you as you are, as we know you. There's no airs and grace. You don't hide anything. You are real people. And I think that has to be brought into spirituality, business, whichever. You can't just put a jacket on and that's who you say you are. You've got to be that. And I think that's what comes together very plainly, very simply, very honestly, with passion as well.
Yeah. Oh. And now
You
you're
happy now,
both.
dear?
And that's it, really, isn't it? Just making sure that wife is happy, and then you will have the happy life. I've been trying to teach this one for a long time.
I'm a bad learner.
Phil, I think you need to teach him.
I'm getting better over the years.
I can do that for you, Amber. I can do that.
So you're both spiritual ministers. Can you tell us what that entails?
There is an element to that we felt was missing. When we are understanding spirituality, we were trying to express how mediumship and spirituality goes together. And in doing so, we were still not being seen as the spiritual teacher or the spiritual counselor. So we undertook a 2-year program with an organization in the States, a metaphysical organization. So it encompassed spiritism, spiritualism, all the other faiths and beliefs, and encompassed it into something that welcomed evidential mediumship, but also allowed the inspiration and spirituality there as well. So during that 2 years, we learned of the different faith books, the different faith leaders, the understandings, the values, and that common denominator of do no harm, be the best you can, and that unconditional love, and there being some creative force that directs life and directs the human being through their experience. And now through that, we have an understanding for when people are grieving, depending on their faith and their belief, they'll begin to question it. Many people question their religion when they're grieving, or when trauma happens, or when disappointment happens. So for us, it was putting a name to something that we felt we had, and academically we understand more now, and we also understand spiritually what we already believed. For me, it is that mediumship is an expression of my spirituality. Being a medium doesn't make me spiritual. Just as art, dancing, music, speaking, teaching is an expression of somebody's spiritual nature. And for me, it was being a minister of a metaphysical understanding allowed me another way to express my spirituality and be there for people.
Yeah, I think with the world being such a small place now and the spirit world opening up that world to us, we were meeting so many people of so many different religious beliefs, understandings, perceptions of life, that we started to notice and become very curious of these different religions and different understandings. So we wanted to embark on an education for ourselves, and again, that's something that we don't shy away from. When we feel interested or there's a draw towards, we enter into it wholeheartedly, both feet in. So we had a look round at different organizations and what they offered, and it was the metaphysical that really stood out to us, because they would seem to be open to every different religious belief, every different perception, every different understanding, every different cultural background. There was no boundaries, there was no gatekeeping. So, as Kerry said, we embarked on a 2-year study program, and that 2 years was every week, not monthly, it was every week. And it was a few hours every week, and there was assignments, there was homework, there was religious study, there was readings, there was education, all kinds. And it really became much more than just a wanting of education. We actually were so interested in and engrossed in different faiths, different understandings, and it's really come to fruition, because now when we speak or we meet somebody, we've got an idea of what they're talking about, and we know how to be that efficient to talk and address things. But also we're able to do ceremonies and funerals and christenings and weddings, and we didn't do it for that, but we now see what a joyous occasion it could be. And having that individual look of where they come from, their background, their culture, we're able to incorporate this spiritual nature together that they feel part of, and where nobody's segregated, everybody is welcome. And that's why we decided to go to the metaphysical, the Sarasota Center of Light in Florida, because it was open, and the campus is huge. It's massive, and nothing's off the table of different types of learning. So that really struck a chord with us, and we feel that it's actually changed who we are as well. It's helped us become more fulfilled, also on a personal level, given us an insight to different thoughts of what a divine source or a God is.
I love that saying, Kerry, around that expression of human nature, that those experiences we have is actually an expression of our own connections, our own passions, our own creativity. I absolutely love that saying. Is there pieces of this spiritual world that you guys are yet to explore, work in, or even delve into? Are there pieces that you are moving into or looking at learning outside of what you already have?
There are always areas. I know my background. I used to be very interested in music and colour. And as I moved into mental mediumship, I left that behind a little bit. And the understanding of how music and colour and consciousness interact has moved on as well. So that's an area that would be really interesting for me to have a look at. There's also the aspect of the altered states. Again, science has taken steps forward. Prior to 2017, Phil and I both were involved in the altered states with our mentors and our friends in the UK. Somewhat now that's fallen away because our commitments to mental mediumship at the request of the spirit world has left us very little time to dedicate to the altered states, and in Phil's case, altered states and physical mediumship. So it'd be lovely to have some time to explore that and where science has got to in its understanding of consciousness and how that relates to where our mind goes when we're sleeping or when we're in a slightly altered state or indeed in trance.
I think for me, it is consciousness. We can label it altered states, trance, physical, whichever. But for me, spiritually, it's consciousness. I don't like to label things because I know labels can govern and form boundaries and restrictions. So for me, consciousness and the understanding of it, and the possibilities of it and where it could lead us to and the insights we could see and what we can learn. That is always something that has interested me and always keeps me very much hooked into, because there's always new thoughts, and we have a understanding as professionals that we listen to everybody, because anybody's little insight or understanding we can add to our own by challenging it and go, well, how does that sit? What does that go? How does that affect? And I think that's something that we're pretty unique on. We hear a lot of professionals speak, but they're not open to other ideas, and that to me is a flaw. It's something that we need to be all open to. So for me, in a nutshell, it is consciousness and the vastness of the possibilities of the unknown that we still don't know about.
And that's something we've actually started to explore. We've got our second book part way there, and it explores consciousness and the development of the human being, and at the base level, what creates the human being into who they are, to then have to work through to become the medium. So probably that personal development, looking into the mindset and consciousness. And I'm sure through this book that we're writing, we'll be able to explore that more in depth, because we're learning as we do.
I think it might also help people. We've never set out to do anything. We had a business understanding of what we wanted to put in that we hadn't gained in our development. And we've followed the spirit world and we've listened to the spirit world. If you would have said to me, Phil, back in, I don't know, 2000, said, well, Phil, you're going to do a cruise, you're going to do this, you're going to be on TV, you're going to win an award, you're going to do, I would think you're completely deluded. I really would. I'd be honest. I was from a little market town called Chorley in the back of Beyond. And my dreams, I can dream and aspire like anybody, but life programmed me, you can have dreams, but they don't work out. But I've done what I loved, and it's got me to places and experiences that both of us have never really
And
thought
anybody
about.
can, and this is what we want to share with people.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about something, then anything is possible.
Correct.
You talk about, following spirit and guidance from spirit. How does that show up for you? Are you connecting with them during meditation, or are you getting insights coming in when you're out for a walk? How does that happen?
All of the above.
I was going to say, you read my mind. All of the above. There's been times when I've seen things within meditation and I've took it with a pinch of salt. It's like, really? Yeah, that's just my imagination. But yeah, everything that I've seen that I felt was going to happen have happened. And I only the other day I saw something and I thought, okay, that would be nice, but we'll see how it goes. We've had things come in where we've been told by the spirit world. We've never been, how can I put this, directly told. In fact, no, that's not true. We have been directly told what to do. But there's times when, as mediums, we all want to aspire to work for the spirit world full time. And as I had that thought many years ago, I heard the words back to me, we will provide only what you need. And I thought, okay, well, that's nice, but you didn't tell me to do it. You didn't show me how to. And it came in the most bizarre way, where I walked out of a very well-paid job. I thought I had enough. No real plan. I mean, literally 11 o'clock in the morning, just decided enough is enough. Not happy with this. And I left and never looked back. And from that moment, the phone rang. And as the spirit world said, they provided everything as we've gone. Yes, there's times where we want things to be more beneficial, but we have what we need. As I said to the spirit world, as long as I can provide for my children, and I have, and my wife, and a comfortable life, be able to eat and afford food, that's what it's all about.
When we call it sitting in the power. When we're sitting in the power, the spirit world will direct. For instance, around about October 2019, there or thereabouts, individually, we both came out of, on separate days, saying the spirit world gave this strange thing, us sitting in front of a screen doing a presentation
just like this,
to a group of people, and it seemed to be online, and that we should be making our courses and presenting online. So when COVID hit and lockdown went into place, we had 3 courses on the shelf ready to go.
Wow.
And then when everybody else thought lockdown was going to come and go very quickly, again, very similarly, it wasn't to me, it was to Phil, build a log cabin outside and that will be your studio. I resisted, I have to be honest. All that money to build a log cabin to be a studio for something that's going to pass. 2 months later, I conceded. And so the spirit world do assist us. They give us ideas. They don't tell us, but they have been very generous with us in giving us ideas and pointers. There's always free will. There's always our own judgment should come into it. But what we've learned is if we take the guidance of our intuition inspired by the spirit world, it will happen. The spirit world had said to us well before 2019, a spiritual church without walls. Now, I thought the spiritual church I was part of was going to shut down. And I thought, oh, that's going to be a bad thing. But actually, what we have is a community of spiritual minds that has no physical building. So 8 years later, we now have a spiritual centre without walls.
So true. More people need to tune into their spirit team, don't they? And the messages.
do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And then as you guys are progressing and continuing to develop these spaces of consciousness and connection and still running everything else that you do, where do you feel is your next challenge or your next big hurdle? And is the movie evidence of the afterlife with all the footage you have? Is there going to be a part 2, part 3? Is that on the cards for you guys as well?
We hope there will be. We hope it's progressive and that we can share more of our teachings to get to more people. What's in the pipeline for us? We really hope that we can find a platform, that the spirit will give us a platform to be able to demystify what we do. Both of us don't really want the spotlight, but we know that's the only way we're going to be able to get what we believe in and are passionate about out to more people. We'd love to do more in-person events. They seem to have a different power to them. So it would be lovely to be able to do that. And it would be lovely to be able to meet a larger audience through things like these podcasts, television interviews, radio interviews. It would be lovely to be able to have a larger platform to share our truth on. So that thought has been out there, and lo and behold, it's happening.
I mean, it's if we think about the things we'd like to achieve to promote the spirit world, but actually all we want to do is get back to our mediumship, the spirituality, the spirit. We know, as we've always said, if we do what we love, everything else follows. And that's something we've always stated. So for ourselves, even though we talk, it would be nice to do this because we want everyone to understand and we want everyone to know about the spirit world. But ultimately, it's just doing our work and just getting on with it and seeing, because like I said before, we didn't know that these things that we've done were possible. We didn't know those opportunities would come our way. That's our firm belief, is we just do what we love and everything else will follow. And we have a firm belief everything that Kerry said will possibly happen.
Well, the spirit world gave us a mission to train tutors of the future and mediums of a high standard for future generations. So the more we can get that out, then we're living our purpose.
Yes.
Perfect. And so what would you say if people are looking to embark on, learning about psychic abilities and becoming mediums, what can they do? What's the first step for them?
be open, but also be open to discern. There's so much information out there. Use your common sense, use logic. If it sounds too complicated, it possibly is not the most natural way, because nature is complex, but it's also very simple.
Yes. I think for people just to go out in any shape or form to ask the question, to search about spirituality, about mediumship, and that can come in many different ways. And what we ask people is not to judge others from what they see, but to take on the experience of what they have experienced, what they're learning from it. We have many people come to us through many various different opportunities, different mediums, demonstrations, shows, books, all kinds. And they say, well, now I've learned your way, that way is bad. There's no bad way, because there's a way that starts everybody off, and we don't know what we don't know. What I would say is just go out and educate yourself to experiences of spirituality and mediumship. The more that you can do that, the more that you will find those truths. And that's the same as the skeptic. Go out and search, go out and look, go out to disprove it. I welcome that, because often what we know, the biggest percentage have proven it to themselves. One of the aspects of my own mediumship journey is in the beginning where I said, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure if I can actually do this. Am I creating telepathy? Am I using it? What's actually? And I went out of my way to say this doesn't, but actually the more I did it, the more I found out I could do it. So my advice would be just to go out and find the truth, and whatever truth your truth, whatever way, shape, form or understanding you have, and do not let anyone dictate to you how it should be, and do not let anyone stop you. It's your choice, it's your decision, your search.
Great message.
Wow. There's just so much wealth within you two that, it really does blow us away when we get to spend this time with you both and share this time. And, on behalf of Amber and myself, thank you so much for, one, being a mentor and a teacher and a guide for us in this space of spirituality, but also for the work and the conviction that you have towards your work, and the level that you continually push it out to the world, because you do set the standard for the rest of us to follow. And I'm truly grateful that we are able to watch what it is that you can do, because you allow us to support and follow in that same direction. And we wouldn't be able to do that without having people like yourselves who are pushing that boundary, that door, even further than where it should be. So I thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing space with us, and also sharing your gifts and knowledge with the world.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And please be an inspiration to so many people, because you are to us. Your positivity, your outlook of life, what you're doing right now with your podcast, it's another avenue for the spirit world to talk. So thank you for what you're doing for the spirit world as well.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. I hope we're just gonna be riding on cloud 9 after that.
I'll tell you what,
podcast, aren't we?
Having those two just spend some time with it.
I'm very honored.
I have this feeling of utter contentment in the work that you and I are doing, and also in the direction that we're doing, which is we don't have a clue where this is going to go or what we're going to do. We're following our passions and combining and doing the things we love. And to me, they're just living proof that the things that you do, when you do it with the people you love, and it is the thing you love to do as well.
And you listen to your wife.
That's
the key, right?
But look, guys, if you want to follow or
Phil
do any
Kerry.
of the courses that Phil and Kerry have available, if you want to watch their amazing documentary, which I absolutely recommend, you should go and do that. Their website is available on there. We'll have that on our YouTube channel as well. You can definitely check them out. Follow their courses, follow their content, watch their movie, read the book. I'm going to get a copy of that book. I
definitely.
think that, and the next one that they do as well. They are phenomenal. We've worked with them in the time that they've come to Australia, and I highly recommend, if you are on the journey, if you're curious, or even if you are a skeptic and you want to prove that this stuff doesn't work, go and see them.
Mm-hmm.
They are incredible people, incredible spiritual teachers, and I cannot recommend them enough.
Yes. Me too. I'm just blown away by that whole, all the learnings tonight. But we will be back next week, next Thursday.
We will.
We have another special guest all the way from New Zealand, but now she lives here in Australia. We will be bringing her in. But hope everyone out there had learnt something, because I definitely did. And we will be back next Thursday.
Happy wife, happy life. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.